Hello, everyone. Well, happy Wednesday, I believe it is. Welcome, Carleen. So, Carleen is the bookkeeper that we have go live once a month for this group, the Interior Design Business Forum, and all the other places I'm out in the social media world right now. Carleen, tell them about C2 accounting first this time, because then we'll get into teaching them something.
Awesome. Well, Carleen Lamay with C2 Accounting, and our focus is on helping small business owners take control of their business finances. And by doing that, we focus on the day to day nitty gritty stuff that people just don't really want to deal with. It's the bookkeeping, it's the payroll, it's sales and use taxes, it's the stuff that you have to do to keep it running. But who has time to do that?
Yeah, we don't like to do that stuff. Most of
I
us do.
do.
I
But
know it's such a unique skill to
it
actually
is.
enjoy doing
It
all those
is.
numbers,
And
right?
making
So
sure they balance. It's a bit obsessive, I would have to admit. But yeah, I like it.
it's a bit obsessive. All right, so today we're kind of giving a overall business finance guide, like unlocking their financial success for interior designers. Like, so how do we do that?
So I would say the tips we're going to talk about today apply to any business, not just interior designers. But I know that interior designers are super creative and they're really passionate about making beautiful spaces. And so they have to make sure they bring some of that passion to managing their business finances. And even if they hire someone like ourselves to do it for them, making sure that they still understand. And that's what
Yes.
today is going to be about, making sure they have some understanding of how to read the numbers and what all of that means. So
Okay.
first thing, let's just talk about financial awareness. Let's make sure that we're aware of what's happening in the business finances at any given time. And so making sure that they are understanding their financial health and
Okay.
taking a pulse check, like you would do any other thing, like getting your annual, medical physical, making sure that you're actually checking in on the health of your business. And that starts by tracking income and expenses and using software to do that. I'm going to call out the people who are still using spreadsheets. Much love to you, but you cannot have a pulse on your business if you're using a spreadsheet to manage your finances.
Yeah, you can't. You can't. I did it in the beginning. It's really kind of hairy and
It,
not accurate at all.
and you just outgrow it really, really fast. So,
And it takes more time.
yes, I agree.
Okay. All right. So absolutely no spreadsheets. We need a accounting software like
Yeah, it
QuickBooks,
sounds
Zero.
very heavy-handed, but I'm going to stick with it. No spreadsheets. And then, of course, separate those business and personal finances. I would like to think that most interior designers have formed an LLC to kind of legally set up their business, and making sure that you keep those LLC funds separate from those personal funds so that you don't, pierce the veil. Meaning, like if you were to get sued, that then now your personal assets are at play because you're not really keeping things separate. So making sure that they really take that extra step, and then determining what out of all the money you receive, what do you have to actually run the business with? Because there's FF&E, there's cost of goods sold. So having a way of distinguishing how much is actually going to go right back out the door to pay for furniture and subcontractors, installers, all that good stuff, and then how much do I have left to run the business, pay for payroll, pay myself, that kind of a thing.
Okay. So looking at your numbers and actually, right,
Exactly.
in the beginning, before I really understood, I used to just write it on a piece of paper from my QuickBooks. Like I would
Hmm.
write it down and I would go, wait, this minus, like just logic it through instead of going, I don't understand this. I'm just not going to
Right.
look at it, which
Right.
is a
It's
lot.
funny you say that because I find that there are people who still will use two systems. Like they'll get QuickBooks because they're supposed to, but then like their comfort wants to take them to something else. And I'm like, we want to get you away from that because now what's accurate, right? If you're really using these two systems, something's going to be off. So let's focus on one and make it work for you.
Yes, absolutely. Okay.
Yeah. The other thing that a lot of people don't think about, because usually they're always looking at the P&L. How much am I making? How much am I taking out?
Yes.
But if you look at your P&L, that bottom number isn't always representative of what cash you have in the bank. I had a client that said, and it wasn't an interior design client, but I remember he said, "Oh, my P&L said I made 30,000 this month. But I don't see 30,000 in the bank." And it's like, yeah, because those are two totally different numbers. There are things that are impacting cash, right? Like, for example, let's assume you're paying for items on a credit card. And so while the expenses may have been occurred like in 2022, you still have a balance in the credit card if you haven't paid it off. Well, those payments are going to impact your cash flow while not being representative on the P&L. And understanding cash versus like paper income is very important to knowing how you can run that business.
I think that was a big stumbling block for me when I first started running my own business. I'm like, why is my business making money, but there's not that much money in the bank? What am I doing wrong? Why doesn't it match? I went like crazy, and it took me a while just to sit down and really think, like you said, like the flow of money versus the
Hmm.
flow of your profit and loss statement or your balance sheet or your books. It's different.
It is
And
different.
understanding how to use each one, or just looking at your cash properly and learning how to do that properly, could be very important as a small business owner.
For our monthly clients or for any of our recurring clients, one of the things we include in our financial package is a cash flow statement. And it is a little clunky to read initially, but it was really good because it shows you your beginning cash, like where the money went, like the different types of categories, and then your ending cash, which ties back to the balance sheet. I think becoming savvy enough to actually look at that report helps you to go, okay,
Now I get
that's why there's 10,000 less than I thought there should be in there. That kind of,
right, right, right.
yeah.
Okay. All right. What else we have?
So last thing I would say, well, no, we have a couple quick things. I'll make this as fast as possible. Understanding key financial terms, making sure that we just talked about credit card balances and loans and things like that,
Yeah.
and liabilities. Sales taxes gets a lot of people still in trouble
Yeah. Talk
because
to me about sales tax liability for an interior designer. They should
yes.
be submitting their sales tax they collect from their clients
Mhm.
on a quarterly basis or a yearly.
It
Like, mm,
depends on the client, it depends on the state. So, I understand one thing I like to remind people is that they're going, "Oh, I have to pay these sales taxes." Well, it was never your money to begin with. Like, you're
correct.
literally an agent for the state. You're charging sales taxes with the sole intent of then passing those on to the state. So if you take it out of your mind that this is money I have to pay, that helps mentally let it
Actually, I
go.
really like
You
that. I
know?
wanted to repeat that. So you're right. This is money that was never yours. You're
It was
just
never
a
yours.
agent
You
of
are an
the
agent
state.
state, an unpaid agent of the state, but an agent of the state
Who's going to
nonetheless.
say that's not fair?
It's just passing through you. And so understanding one mentally, because there's an emotional thing like, oh, I got paid $10,000 in sales taxes. Well, if you were looking at what was really yours to run the business with correctly, then that 10,000 should never been factored into your normal operating cash because it should have been set aside to handle that later. And like I said, every state is different. Every state has different rules. Make sure you understand your state. Make sure you're registered. Like, don't collect sales taxes if you're not registered. And if you are selling any kind of physical item in every state, you're going to have to collect sales taxes. So just going through the proper channels. Um,
And what
and
do you have to register yourself for sales tax?
So every state is going to have some sort of Department of Revenue or Controller's Office, some government agency that handles money for the state, and that's
Mhm.
where you're going to go. And most states have an online registration form. And I will tell you, compared to the IRS, every state that I've reached out to for sales taxes, their Department of Revenue or Controller's Office, you actually usually can talk to a person. They want their
That's
money.
amazing.
Yeah, they want their money, and so they are actually super helpful in answering questions. So never don't hesitate to reach out and ask questions
And
because
I
they
just
will be
did a
happy.
simple Google, just so everyone knows. I wrote register for sales tax question mark. And since I'm in New York, my
If
computer knows I'm in New York. It
mhm,
came up with tax.newyork.gov, right? So do
exactly.
it for your state and click, and
Do it for your
just
state.
make sure you don't go for one of the sponsored ads if you Google that, because that's
Yes.
usually a accounting firm trying to get you to pay for them to do it for you.
Right, exactly. But definitely understanding that. And if you can just, I would say the biggest tip, like I said before, I'll reiterate that take the emotions out of it. It's not your money. That way it doesn't hurt you when it walks back out the door.
Right.
And then we may have mentioned this before is having a regular financial review, like have a money date with yourself, if
Yes.
that's what you want to call it, but have set aside time. Even if you have someone who does your books, like our firm, you still need to set time to do things like send receipts, to do things like making sure you're invoicing, making sure you're reviewing your reports. There's so many things that you still should be doing, even if you hire a bookkeeper, that the only way to get it done is to schedule it like anything else. Put it in
Yes.
the calendar. I mean, if you want a glass of wine while you do it, that's up to you. But put
My
it
numbers
on
may
your
not be perfect if I'm drinking while I'm
well,
doing
someone else is doing yeah, if you have someone else doing the numbers, you don't want to be actually keying things in while you're drinking wine. But yeah, just kind of put it on your calendar. And at the end of the day, you're gonna feel like a more empowered business owner because you're taking control of it. Like you're not letting it's not something where you're being reactive, you're being more proactive.
Yeah, it is an amazing feeling, and you helped me with this. Even as a business coach, sometimes the, shoemaker doesn't have shoes, right? So even as a business coach, when I was looking at my numbers, I was getting confused. I'm like, wait, I don't get it. And bringing you on and having you there to explain to me, give me the monthly report, it's just invaluable. And I send a ton of my clients your way because you do all that stuff, and you also remind me to do the stuff I'm supposed to do.
Yeah, we try. And one of the things we're adding to our toolbox this year is sending out reminders to our existing clients to make sure that they're checking in with their tax preparer quarterly. Just because what we're finding is that even though I recommend people get with a tax planner, sometimes those conversations aren't happening on a quarterly basis. So
Yeah.
we're going to be more proactive. Even like we're always trying to find new ways to support our clients. So we're like, hey, we need to let you guys know it's time. Make that call. Get on their calendar.
You're reminding me to call my accountant and get on his calendar
Yeah,
for
because
my
the end of
tax
the year
planning.
is 2 months from Christmas is today, so
Right, and the reason why you do that is because there's some monies that may have to be moved around, that you have to do before the end of
before the
this
end of the year,
year. And so if you wait to do it when you're filing your taxes, you've already
it's
missed
too
the boat
late. Yeah,
sometimes,
exactly.
right? Not everything can be back adjusted the way you think.
I agree.
The government has limitations to what you can do, correct?
Yeah, yeah, I agree. So those are our tips for the day, and hopefully at least one of those will resonate with those who are checking this out. I think take a look and see where you can help improve and where you can help yourself to grow into a more of a small business CEO as opposed to just a business owner.
Say that last sentence again. It's a
Let's
good one.
see what are these tips you can put into place to help you grow into a small business CEO and not just a business owner.
Huge difference. So thank you, Colleen, so much.
Thank you for
Always
having
good
me.
tips. All right. We'll see you next month. So Colleen, C2 Accounting is one of our sponsors in our Facebook group, the Interior Design Business Forum. Show her some love. If you have some questions about your bookkeeping and your accounting, get on Colleen's calendar and check out her process. It is clean. It's amazing. And I have never been more relaxed about my numbers once I bring you on board.
Thank
Seriously.
you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Seriously.
And
It's
how do they find us? www.c2-acctg.com.
we may want to change that someday.
Yeah, we are. We're going to change it to C2-accounting. I'm doing a website rebrand soon. So,
Okay. Okay. All right. Thanks, everyone. Go
all
have a
right.
great day. Thanks,
Thanks,
Colleen.
guys. Take
Bye.
care. Bye bye.
Bye.